He almost lost his life to a rare liver disease, and now today he's here to tell us his story.
Peace and blessings, y'all. It's Coach Steph. And today we have a very exciting guest today, my best friend, my brother since we were 8 years old, Mr. Derek Sherman. He has been through a lot in life and almost hitting the cemetery to being a successful father, a successful businessman, a successful man. So go ahead and tell us your story.
The liver transplant journey is a very intriguing and interesting journey to really even begin with. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I was diagnosed with PSC, and this form of liver disease, there is no treatment for it. And the only way to treat it is to get a transplant. So I went through several years living life, competing at a high level, playing basketball in college and semi-professionally, one that trained all the time, and I was very healthy and did not really indulge in alcohol, but in social settings. And my liver was completely shot and in stage 4 cirrhosis by the time I was 29, getting ready to turn 30. I went through a challenging 6 months before I had my transplant.
What was your first trigger moment for your liver?
My first trigger moment for my liver when I started noticing anything wrong was the day after my oldest son, who is now 12, his first birthday party. Both of my lower legs swelled up pretty bad. And one of the things that I noticed was that when I stuck my thumb into my shin, there was a big pitting dent in there, just like how you would press a peach and a dent would stay in there, like a ripe peach. So I immediately went to the emergency room and got checked out by the doctors. And I thought that it was nothing more than just being maybe standing up on my feet too long. I had too much water in my system, so I needed a water tablet. And it turned out that what I had was something more serious.
So during that process, after all this happened to you, how were you operating at home and at work?
Kind of surreal, but not really quite understanding what was going on. But just knowing that I still had to carry on every single day and still take care of my family, because my family depended on me at the time. I had a 1-year-old brand new son. I was engaged at the time to my wife. We were engaged at that time, preparing to get married. So I still had to carry on and push through and compartmentalize as much as possible during that time, as tough as it was.
What was your day-to-day as a father, getting up in the morning and maneuvering around?
I started off every day thankful for the day, and my motivation was just my family, my son. He was walking, talking, and clinging on to me. My wife, my fiance at the time, 2 of them were my main motivation. And I'm 29, about to turn 30, and everything that I had worked for, finally had a family, finally being able to be the father that I wanted to be for my son was all there in front of me, and my health was declining. But at the same time, just keeping them in mind, they were the ones that kept me going, getting up every day. And despite all the limitations that I had, the weakness, the fatigue, the brain fog, they were the ones that kept me motivated and kept me going. I had a full-time job teaching, and I also had a part-time job too. I was working with a child that had autism part-time throughout the week, and I was also a part-time student as well. Well, actually, I was in 2 programs. I was getting my master's degree, and I was also getting a graduate certificate. So those were my day-to-day, was working, coming home after work, spending time with my son, bathing him, getting him ready for bed. My wife, she would cook, spend time with him until he went down to bed, and then spending the rest of the evening with my wife. And if I had a moment there, I was doing my schoolwork.
When the doctors told you about your diagnosis, how did that scenario happen?
The doc presented the scenario to me like this. He told me straight up, he said, "Have you heard of the football player Walter Payton?" I said, "Yeah." But I knew that he died from his liver disease. And the doctor told me, he said, "Yeah, we think you have the same disease that he had." So in my mind, I'm thinking, damn, is he telling me that I'm going to die? But at the same time, he told me that you're going to have to get put on the transplant list ASAP. I knew that the chances and things were slim and the odds were against me.
I'm pretty sure there's a time where you had to face death. When was your first time facing the thought of you not being here might happen?
The moment he told me that.
Told you what? Explain.
The moment he told me that you have the same disease, or we think that, because they didn't diagnose me yet, we think that you have the same disease that Walter Payton has.
Okay.
Hit me like a ton of bricks.
How did that affect you in your home life and your school life and your all around world?
You start thinking, why me? Especially right now when my life is starting to come together.
So they put you on the transplant list, correct?
Not right away. I didn't get put on the transplant list until probably about 3 months after I first started seeking treatment and seeking doctor help. I got put on the transplant list maybe about mid-October, right after my birthday, right after I turned 30. 30 is a big milestone. And I always envisioned my 30th birthday being something extravagant. And my 30th birthday just turned into me thinking this is probably my last birthday. It was a real sad birthday.
You being a new father, and you got your woman too, how did that make you feel?
I think that's probably what hurt the most out of anything. I wanted to make sure that when I had my child, I started my family, it was with the right woman and under the right circumstances. With him being born, me visualizing this father that I was going to be to him and all the dreams and all the moments that I wanted to have with him and all the things that I wanted to teach him, all of that just came crashing down because when you're diagnosed with this or undiagnosed with terminal illness, but that there's nothing that they can do, you're just waiting on the doctor's word. That was the most, psychologically, that was probably the most damaging thing that I probably had to endure and things like that, because being that young, losing a parent at an early age, and even though he wouldn't have known anything about it, but at the same time, he wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to know me. That was the most difficult part of it.
Your wife, I heard what she did. How did you feel while you were going through that about her too, about you want to be her man, but now you're just in a stuck place right now?
Well, I honestly wouldn't have been able to make it without her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no way I'd still be here if it wasn't for her. I was so physically weak. There was one point where I physically couldn't even stand up to put on my pants. And she would help me put on my pants, walking and getting to the bathroom, helping me brush my teeth, things like that, putting on my shirt. I was literally that weak. So talking about the transplant journey, I think just going back to what I was saying before
I was looking at you.
So he just looked at me, seeing how young I was, and he just said, sorry that you're going through this, but this is going to be a part of your story. Life will go on, essentially is what he told me. It can go either way. It's going to go on with you or without you. And him being empathetic, his bedside manner still gave me a bit of some hope that I'd be able to make it out of this.
So you're on a liver transplant list. You get the call that you got a liver on the way. What happened? Your first experience with a liver transplant?
I ended up getting a call right before Christmas. I was told that you got a potential transplant and get down to Baltimore. So immediately jumped in the car and was in there. And the first time it was me, my wife, and my brother-in-law actually came. And he came for the ride, and we were in the hospital for about 2 days waiting. Finally, when this person passed away, the person was on life support. He told me that the liver didn't look good and that if they gave me the transplant, I probably wouldn't have survived it. And that was very devastating because everybody was finally family, distant family, friends. Everybody was anticipating the news that I was going to get this transplant. It was a big Christmas miracle and that everything was going to work out, and but didn't. And that was the thing that was crushing. Again, I was at that point day to day. When you're waiting for your liver and you're on the transplant list, the level of sickness that somebody has is kind of unfathomable, because you're literally knocking on death's door. And you also are in this system where you have this thing called a MELD score, which stands for your measured estimated liver death. Literally, that's what it's called. And if you are in a MELD score range that is too high, you can't get your liver transplant. Like, your chances of surviving it were slim. And my score was literally touching that borderline that I was going to be too sick to get a transplant.
What do you decide to do with you and Deanna? You got kind of plan you guys decide to put together?
Well, the first thing we did after that happened was we went and got a Christmas tree. Literally went and got one from Home Depot and able to piece together a little Christmas for our son. And I think this is it. This is going to be my last time spending Christmas with him. And right after that, we went ahead and pushed things forward and said, you just go ahead and have a wedding here at the house. At least this would be my chance to say my final goodbyes to everybody and to be married. So that was thinking in the back of my mind.
Wedding's supposed to be on what day? What was the wedding supposed to be
So
on?
the wedding was going to be on New Year's Eve, December 31st. And we're going to have our wedding and then, have New Year's here. And, we had just moved in here into this house. There was boxes everywhere and we were scrambling to move things around. We invited more people that could probably even fit in here. But again, like a lot responded because, a lot didn't know up until that time when I got on the transplant list that how serious things were. And then when I didn't get it, that's really alarm was off like,
So it's the 30th. It's the day before New Year's Eve. What happens that day?
So on that day, we were literally doing our last minute prep, trying to move things around here in the house. It's probably about like 5, 6 o'clock. A call from the transplant department. And they said, hey, we got a liver transplant for you. And I was so done at that time too and so crushed from the situation. I was like, I'm about tomorrow. I'm like, y'all had me in the hospital thinking that I was going to get a transplant. And I didn't. Like, I'm about to go. Let me just go ahead and have this wedding and then sign off. The doctor said, no, you're going to for sure this time. Thought about it for a second, put on speakerphone, and Deanna immediately was like, you know what, nah, we're going. We headed to Baltimore, and I didn't have that great of hope because, again, like, that situation kind of like the wind before Christmas. My mind was foggy, a lot going on, and, I wasn't able to clearly make good decisions for you. And when people are sick, or if you're sick, it's always good to have a medical directive, somebody that can look out for you, has their best interest in you, that cares when you are, so that you can have somebody help make decisions for you. When I got to Hopkins, I got into my room, got checked in and settled down and finally met the doctor. His name, Dr. Andrew Cameron, and immediately looked him up and figured out who he was. I'm like, okay, this guy is like that doctor here, he's head surgeon here. And on top of that, when he met me, he said, no, we're going to make sure that you get your transplant, because he said, not only do we have one liver, we have 2 liver transplants that you have a choice from, but you're definitely leaving here with a transplant. And so that was like the affirming moment for me. That was the blessing that I received. And then that next day, went into surgery that morning, came in that night. And the next thing you know, I'm waking up, looking window, the fireworks going off in the Baltimore Harbor because the ball just dropped.
Now you're a dad, an entrepreneur, a teacher. I'm saying a man, you constantly moving, witness, man. Like you don't ever, you very active. What would you say you learned from the whole experience? Like some lessons that you learned?
I think that the most important lesson that I learned is that, again, like tomorrow's not guaranteed, and you want to make sure to seize the day and make the most out of the day. That's 1. 2, be mindful of how you treat people. How you treat people, one of the most important things, because, people won't remember how you did for them, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel. And I think that the biggest takeaway of it is to cherish your time with your loved ones and with your family, because, literally as cliche as, you can be here going tomorrow. So, you want to make sure you cherish those that you.
Good to have you, brother, man. You had an amazing story, man. Definitely from like death to real life, man. Seeing you grow, and just proud to have you. So proud of you, man. I just want to say, man, just keep on going.
Yeah, man, I received that. Thank you, man. Thank you for the opportunity to be interviewed and share my piece. So I had to explain to people, this is my transplant scar. A lot of people are intrigued by it because the type of incision that I have going across my abdomen, I'm still able to train and compete at a very high level, even though I'm a hobbyist at it. But I'm still able to train and compete at a high level.
What do you train and compete at?
So I do both jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and boxing. So, that's both, but all three of them are just strikes. So really just striking and grappling. Despite the fact that I have my transplant, been able to live a healthy and active lifestyle and stay busy despite that.